Ys is an oldest time series, beginning on the TurboGrafx CD in around about the 80s. It's a game of its time sort of title, and since then it's had about 16 releases of mainline games, spin-offs and re-releases. The most recent being Monstrum Nox, which will hit PC in like a week or two. In the middle of this was ysorigin, recalling the events that led to the situation of Ys 1 and 2, and fleshing out some of the lore of the houses. And in Origin we have 3 playable characters, Yunica Tova, Hugo Fact, and a third I'll touch on later. So let's get this game started and start with the goodest of girls that pack the battle axe, Yunica. After skipping the obligatory anime movie and starting the game proper, we are asked to climb the tower! TM. I'm sure the tower has a name? It's called Tower of Dom in the first game, but we don't get a name here, so Tower! TM it is. The whole game takes place here, but don't worry. The game changes up how the tower looks every couple of floors. But for now, we're starting the Wailing Blue! Yes, every zone has a dramatic name. It's the Tower TM after all. And we get to play Yunica. Yunica's moveset is rather simple, consisting of moving, jumping, jump attacks, an attack that's very awkward to use and you won't see me use too much of it, and wildly swinging until the thing is dead. Combat is a visceral affair. Kill it before it kills you, as even playing on normal enemies can pack a punch. The best defense is a good offense after all. That's not to say the combat system lacks depth, of course, as even in the second room of the tower gives you your first spell, Whirlwind. And Whirlwind turns you into a mobile saw blade, pushing you forward and stun-locking anything unfortunate enough to stand near you. It's a spell that will be useful from top to bottom, as it's not only an oppressive AoE tool, but it's used for platforming, helping you clear gaps and do cool girl shit. Progression in Origin works like this the whole way up. You find a problem, take a different path to get a thing to let you bypass the first problem, and continue. 50% of the time it's a key, but the other 50% is usually an expansion to your base ability kit. In the second area you get the dash, which is more like running than dashing, but it still gets you around faster, so you get to look more at the tower. And for a game made for 2008 Japanese PCs, it looks pretty great. Falcom uses a combo of 3D areas and sprites of 3D models. You may have seen it used in Trails to the Sky, and it really pops for me. The sprites have so much detail and just look like they belong in the environments, though some of the sprites have the before mentioned Tails problem of, what the fuck am I even looking at? While the 3D model terrain doesn't look as nearly as detailed, it's carried by a strong art direction. It gives a clarity that means that no matter how chaotic the game gets, you can still see what's going on. And because of the graphical combo, the game will run on toasters. If you do play on higher resolutions, be prepared to see some texture seams or the void. It was made for said toasters after all. The majority of the bosses are 3D models too, but they don't have any of those limitations graphical wise, apart from the animations. They're good enough for telegraph purposes, but look pretty stiff. The effects for the attacks do a decent job of hiding that fact, so it's not a glaring issue, but you will notice it. But before we talk about the bosses as opponents, I wish to explain why I think the combat system in Origin is so gosh darn good. It's down to the speed and the systems that encourage the speed of the combat. Let's break it down. Every time you hit an opponent, you start an XP chain bonus above your character's portrait. I'm not sure why the UI is so small. I kind of forgot to fix it, so apologies. We'll just zoom in. When you're not hitting anything, it starts to tick down, so first system is, be aggressive, get more XP. When the enemy dies, it drops currency for the upgrade store, stat boosting potions and herbs. Picking up the potions give a buff for the corresponding stat for a short while. Picking up another vial of that color will extend the timer and add the buff to a max. So the second system is, get kills, become stronger. And third is the herbs. Outside of save points and set urns that drop herbs, there are very few ways of healing in battle, so we have fight monsters to heal. I'm putting an asterisk in that there is other ways to heal. You can pick up the spirit cape to stand still to heal, and you can also stand outside to heal, but you know, this is just for the clarity of the script, okay, bye. These 3 systems make the exploration quick and violent. You never want to slow down and waste the buffs given. It's a great base to work off. Each character gets the tools to push this idea forward. Yunica gets the previously mentioned Whirlwind, Bolt Crash as a multi-hitting attack with a tall hitbox that blocks any attacks coming your way as long as the move is active, and Phoenix Flame for all of your range needs. but they can get better. Finding jewels in the tower can upgrade the spells and allow for charged versions. Whirlwind gets a long-lasting and larger AoE. Bolt Crash is super tall and hits harder, and Phoenix Flame is... all great tools. Tools that you're going to need for the bosses. And the bosses mostly come in two flavors. Ones that require you to do a thing to get hits in, and the other that have holes and attack patterns that you have to exploit. And don't expect any of the bosses to be pushovers. Give them an inch and they will take a mile. Remember what I said earlier? The best defense is a good offense? That also applies to every boss. The faster you take them down, the less attack patterns you have to deal with. I know that sounds obvious, but let's give an example. Gilaldi, the boss of Guilty Fire, these tower names, man, has this laser rain that forces you to dodge from side to side with no way to deal damage to it while it happens. But in my Yunica playthrough, I never even saw the attack thanks to being efficient in my damage dealing. Death is the best CC after all. Some bosses might stretch your patience if you've never dealt with them. The Creeper, I don't think its name is the Creeper. It's called the Creeper outside. The door says the Creeper. I'm not looking up its name. It's called the Creeper, alright? Aw man, yeah, let's get the meme out the way. The Creeper is a conveyor belt of projectiles, constantly pulling you in while spitting shit out. And while you dodge, you have to kill these eye plants? Take too long and the plants will start healing the boss. It's super unpleasant for a first playthrough. Don't worry though, the boss may be ass, but you'll have a jam while you play. Most if not all the Ys games come with a great soundtrack, and Origin is no slouch. It always matches the scene and complements the vibes of the zone as you explore. I'm not well versed on my anime rock, so I'm just going to play some of my favourite tracks so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. So Yunica climbs the tower, goes through some hardships, and kills Demon God, the usual Tuesday. And with that the game is over. It's not a long game, lasting around about 6 hours for a playthrough, but it's a pretty tight experience. It's what's caused me to play through the game 3 times, and oh wait, that's right. We gotta talk about Hugo. Earlier I said there was 3 characters, and Hugo is the second. And Hugo controls similar to Yunica, but the playstyle is just different. I'm gonna say this now, I did not enjoy playing Hugo. I don't think he's bad, in fact I think he might be better than Yunica in a few ways. But the way he plays is not fun for me. Hugo has no melee attack, being a magic user and all that, so his default attack is a rapid magic missiles. His basic attack requires an unfortunate amount of mashing to be optimal, and does not cause hit stun. Just for this alone, he plays more like a hit and run style, or funneling enemies down a choke. If Yunica is Doom 2016, Hugo is that Sunny in Philadelphia meme.
I started blasting.
For spells, he gets a shield that negates a single hit, double hit if charged, but lets him get some favorable trades in. A fire wheel that shoots lasers, because why not? But the fun for me comes from his Bolt Crash analog, the Mine. Without the Mine, Hugo's kit feels a bit lacking, but the moment you pick it up, you start playing Bomberman but with a gun. It's what kept Hugo enjoyable to me as I played. The charge version comes with a manual detonator, so you choose the rules of engagement. Run through the room, aggro everything, and leave a present to even the odds. Nothing can stop you. Oh god, that sounded so bad. As you're playing Hugo, you're wondering how the game is going to handle the ending. For people who haven't played a 30-year-old game, the boss of Ys 1 is Dark Fact. Yes, that's its name. I did not make that up. And as you climb, Hugo starts hungering for power to deal with his mission. So to talk about it, I'm going to throw up a general spoiler tag since Hugo deals with a third playable character. And that character's ending reveals the true ending, so skip here if you don't want story and character spoilers. Before the fight with Mantid, the bad guy asks if Hugo wants more power, and being the dumb butt he is, he accepts. And after beating the boss normally, it gets back up for round 2, but this time Hugo is in demon mode, which is playable. Nice. You get an infinite amount of magic for the fight, and it's a joke once you notice that. Once the fight is over, Hugo starts turning on his friends until Epona talks some sense into him, and he decides not to use the demonic element the bad guy gave him. Hugo marches towards the top of the tower to tell the big bad that finding your own path and friendship is the true power, and you have the same showdown as last time. Throughout Hugo's climb, he runs into Toll, his brother, who seems to have forsaken everyone else for no apparent reason and has left Hugo as the heir to the fact line. And Hugo learns firsthand that his father believes that the facts are above the other houses because of their innate power. Once you beat the game with Yuna or Hugo, you unlock Toll as the third character. And Toll is a berserker style character. Being part demon, he is all offense, no defense. The challenge of playing as him is that his magic is strong, but does not cover any weaknesses unlike the others. The boss of the flooded prison is a good example of this. Both Yunica and Hugo have tools to attack the boss as it crawls along the wall, putting the flow of fight into both of their hands. Toll just has to sit there waiting to interact with the boss. I don't think any other bosses are like this, but this is just a weird blip with that. Spell-wise, you get an invulnerable short dash, an attack that gives a small amount of HP and charges your boost gauge, and a fire twirl, so no range. But that does not mean he does not have any good tools. His jump attack, it's fucking dumb. It's a multi-hidden attack that does more damage than swinging on the ground, for some reason. The audio effect makes it sound like it only hits for 4 hits, but my gut says it's at least 6. Once you figure out how good this tool is, the goal of Toll is to try and use it everywhere on everyone. Pro tip, you can stun the creeper by attacking the boss itself, and with Toll's jumping attack, it's actually viable. As you might imagine, the story plays out a bit different, with Toll working for the demons, and he also fights some new bosses as he climbs. A few of them are even the search team. Remember that supposed to lose fight with Yunica and Hugo? Well, now it's a supposed to win fight. Have fun figuring out how to kill him without dying on his shield. As Toll searches the tower, we learn about a trader in Ys that has been helping the Darklings. Before the last boss, you meet up with the possessed Hugo for a frighteningly easy boss fight, and free him from the demon's influence. With Toll and Hugo crossed off the list, there can only be one more fact left to check up on. And as you fight the big bad for the last time, surprise! The traitor is Cain Fact, Toll and Hugo's father. It's a predictable twist if you know about the older games, since it has to be a fact. It might be decent for people who don't know, This leads into a Toll exclusive last boss. It's not that hard of a last boss fight. Toll gets a sword and starts shooting sword beams. It does have a cool gimmick of the arena changing shape for each of the boss's attack patterns. It's a good fight to finish the run, if only for the visual treat. But in the ending wrap-up, the goddesses still seal the Black Pearl and ask to be entombed. Toll leaves his sword at the base of a rhoda tree and writes the Books of Ys for when Cain returns. Wrapping up nice and neat for the story to continue in Ys 1 and 2. I dislike prequels generally. Unless given a unique time frame to work with or a fun set of characters, you kinda know the outcome. I guess that's why the Knights of the Old Republic games are liked so much. So much freedom in the setting. Ysorigin does a decent job of not falling into the simple fan service, like showing us Adol's grand relatives. It's a good entry into the Ys games. Gives you the vibe the series tends to go for. This is a game I would highly recommend if you can deal with multiple characters. If the idea of this game sounds good to you, but you don't want to deal with the multiple characters that it has, I would highly recommend playing Ys, Oath, and Felghana. It's basically the same game, but with one protagonist and more of a traditional structure. Jumping from towns to dungeons to castles, you know, all that jazz. Welcome to the end of the video, the part where I improvise and have no clue what I'm saying. If you sat through and watched the entire video, thank you very much. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the whole video editing thing as well as the video review, the video game review even, and there's certainly aspects I can improve upon as I learn and understand more of the systems I'm using. But I certainly have a lot of fun making them. If you have any feedbacks, please leave it in the comments. I would like to get better. At worst, I want to be a store brand Mandalore. That's my baseline. That's the quality I'm aiming for. And once I hit that, I can start going higher and higher. Maybe someday I'll be a store brand Chamois. Who knows? The sky is the limit. I have nothing else to say. Thank you all for watching. And bye-bye.